Hey, what's up guys, it's Vesper. Gonna update you guys on all the new news we have for Dan, the next character coming to Street Fighter V Champion Edition. As you guys know, Tokyo Game Show 2020 is going on right now, and Capcom had their showcase yesterday morning, which I stayed up for. I didn't get my hopes up too much. They showed a very little amount of footage, but we did get new news nonetheless, and I'll catch you guys up with everything we know about Dan so far up to this point. So there's already been a few changes that we'll be seeing with the newest footage since we last saw that suspicious camera phone footage of Dan. Like for example, we've seen that when he tosses the opponent from his throws, he's tossing them way further. They're not right next to him where we assume that he'd probably be minus after a normal throw. It doesn't seem to be like that anymore. They also updated, so Dan's story, why he's coming into Street Fighter V, he's looking to recruit more disciples to teach his world-famous, self-proclaimed Psychial martial arts style. I think he's the best or the strongest, something along those lines. But we've already seen some hints of Dan in Street Fighter V before he was even announced. For example, his sister's in the shop right now. We know Sakura and Blanca are his friends. They're already in the game. And maybe Dan should recruit Kage at this point. I mean, they already seem to use the same type of martial arts already. So I think he'd be a really good addition to this martial arts fighting style. So Capcom has described Dan's fighting style, or his gameplay, sorry, as fun, aggressive, which is good, and have rewarding depth, which sounds awesome as well. The depth will probably make it more fun. We've already seen him do like the crazy cancel with his taunts and whatever. We know that Dan is supposed to be a joke character, but he's also could be viable, especially in Street Fighter V. And if he's aggressive, that sounds really good as well. So the new info that Capcom showed us at TGS was basically a brief movelist preview with some commentary explaining some of his attacks. Not from the phone this time, actual in-game footage. So we can start with just his movement in general. I mean, it didn't really show him move too much, but his walk speed seems okay. Nothing out of the ordinary. Walk back speed seems okay. I would say more on the faster side than the slow side if I were to guess. His dash looks to be around 16-17 frames if I were to guess. It's kind of hard to count the frames though. But it does look like it goes Ryu distance, but it doesn't look like it's a slow dash. His dash back looks fine, nothing out of the ordinary. Basically, I would say typical Shoto move speed, basically. Movement and distance on his dashes and such. So, that's all we can tell from now. They didn't show much of it. Now for his normal attacks, we did get to see every single normal attack he had, which is nice, actually. I actually like this kind of stuff more than trailers, just because we get a showcase of every little, detail I like to see. So, he doesn't seem to have a 3-framer. Other people have counted the frames as well, and looks like these are all 4s. His lights have the typical Shoto distance. Nothing too short though, like Ryu standing light punch, but that's a 3-framer. His crouching light kick does look pretty good though, from what it seems. This looks okay. His standing medium punch seems to be his combo starter. That's where he does like a little hip punch, and we know that he can link it into his crouching medium punch. So he's got medium strings. But the standing medium punch range is pretty poor. It looks similar to Ryu. His crouching medium kick looks okay. It looks okay, but we don't know if it's cancelable. His standing hard punch, Dan does like this big lunge forward, and it looks pretty goofy. It's most likely a crush counter, at least I'd hope so, for how it looks, because the recovery looks pretty bad. His standing heavy kick also looks like has a massive amount of recovery. He almost like trips and falls over when he does the standing heavy kick, but the range does look good, and this is most likely a crush counter. I would probably say that his standing heavy punch might be the safe crush counter, and his standing heavy kick will be like the punishing crush counter for like uppercuts and reversals and such. His crouching heavy kick, his sweep looks terrible. It just looks straight up terrible. But not Falk terrible. I don't want to say it would be that bad. His crouching heavy punch looks like his go-to anti-air, very similar to Ryu's. It seems to hit that good vertical distance, and we know that it is cancelable as well, which is interesting. So that might be interesting as an anti-air and cancel into something. And maybe set something up. But we know like as just like a straight up combo fitting or crouching heavy punch into uppercut. We've seen footage of that. So we saw 2 command normals for Dan actually. So he's got like this axe kick looking animation where he kicks straight up. And they described it as it knocks people around, whatever that means. So maybe if he hits somebody with this, it'll knock them down. But we actually haven't even seen any footage of Dan actually hitting someone with this kick. We've just seen it. So obviously when you look at it, it might be another anti-air, but it has slower startup of course, so it might have an additional like reward if you hit it. Maybe it juggles the opponent for a follow-up, for example. And if the opponent blocks this, maybe it has high, frame advantage on block, similar to Sakura's down forward heavy kick. I would assume the command is probably like a down forward heavy kick or forward heavy kick. So his other command normal is his overhead. This looks like a forward hard punch. It looks like a heavy normal overhead, and it looks really fast. It looks really fast, like 21 frame fast. So that looks decent, but the only problem is it has like no range. It has like no range at all. Looks like the ending of Akuma's forward hard punch. So we don't know if you can combo something after this, or maybe you can cancel into a VSkill or something. That'd be interesting. Okay, moving on to special moves now. We'll start with Dan's regular fireball, his Godoken. His fireball, as usual, has no range, right? So it's still Dan. But the interesting thing they show us this time is that he can charge it. Charge it similar to like Laura or Sakura, and it will actually increase the distance of the fireball. So damn, it still goes further than Kage, which is interesting. But when he does charge it, it still only does one hit, and it doesn't knock him down. So not quite the same as Sakura. But in the phone footage that we saw before, actually, we saw him charge. Now that I look back on it, he was charging the light fireball, and the fireball was going really slow, and it was right in front of him. So it might be a ghetto way to approach the opponent. Maybe after you knock him down, you can set something up. I don't know. I'm grasping straws here. But we don't know if you can cancel out of these fireballs with taunts as well, like his VSkill, for example. And that might be really strong if he like rolls towards you as the fireball is traveling. That might be another good way to approach the opponent, because they did describe Dan as an aggressive character. The other special move we saw was Dan Kicks. This looks like straight up combo filler. Looks like this is mostly what you're going to be ending your combos with. Maybe the EX version goes through fireballs. Other than that, it looks like you'll be mostly using just the heavy kick version. I doubt you'll be randomly throwing these out. I mean, you could space maybe the light version and kind of use it randomly, kind of like how you did in Street Fighter 4. But it does have good corner carry when you do land this, because it is a can 3 attacks. His DP, his uppercut, I mean, it looks surprisingly good. Surprisingly. They look fast. They look like they have decent horizontal range. They're all single hits. So that means you should be able to get max damage if you hit the opponent early with it. And if you look at like his uppercut overall, I mean, looks like he has a good mix of anti-airs. Like his crouching heavy punch, that axe kick command normal looks like an anti-air. And if he has uppercuts that have good speed, that means he's going to be able to auto-correct them easily. So he'll be able to shut down a lot of anti-airs with Dan, which is nice. And since we he has an uppercut, we can assume the EX version is a reversal, so he has an invincible reversal. So they gave Dan a new move in Street Fighter V. It's basically the Ryo punch, and another move that they copied from Ryo, by the way. And we've seen this actually in Street Fighter 4. It's Omega mode. I think I mentioned this before. This looks like more combo filler, but it's more for combo extensions, to be more specific. We saw that the EX version actually knocks the opponent way up, and it allows for a juggle. They use Dan kicks, and it has a lot of corner carry, which is really, really nice. And they said that you'll be using this move in V-Trigger. They didn't describe his V-Trigger, but I would assume that this would be buffed up somehow, maybe the amount of hits, right? Or the amount of properties that changes after you hit him. But it looks like it's one of the primary moves for Dan when he activates one of his V-Triggers. That's all we know for now. So they showcased a combo. I think they only showed 2 combos in the footage. The first one is standing medium punch, crouching medium punch into the EX Ryo punch, the rapid punch, knocked the opponent up, and then they juggled with Dan kicks. And once again, I said it had really good corner carry. And then they showed a corner combo. It looks like a corner only combo. Dan goes crouching heavy punch into DP, canceled into VSkill, which taunts and hits the opponent, and then he juggles with an EX uppercut afterwards. Like I said, this looks corner only. Looks like a lot of Dan's strong calls will be in the corner, so it's good that he has good corner carry in general. So, and he'll be gaining V-Gauge as well, using that V-Skill in his combos, which is nice. And like I said, V-Skills looks like the main thing about Dan. So let's talk about those V-Skills. So both of Dan's V-Skills are taunts. His V-Skill 1 is this rolling taunt that we're seeing in this footage. He can roll forward, he can roll back with it. We don't know if it goes underneath fireballs. That'd be really interesting if it did, because it looks like it does no damage, and it would be funny if someone's trying to zone you like Guile, and you roll under the sonic boom, taunt them, hit them once, right, and you're extra annoying. That'd be cool if you had frame advantage after that taunt hit too, because even if it did no damage, it would allow you to get in, right, and like they said, Dan's aggressive. The other unique thing about this is it can cancel out of special moves to extend his combos. We know he can literally cancel out of his uppercut with this, and the opponent will fall into his taunt, and he'll juggle with it, allowing another follow-up, such as in EX uppercut, for example. We don't know if he can cancel out of his special moves on whiff. So, for example, if Dan is charging his fireball, can he cancel that with his V-skill, right? Or cancel after he shoots the fireball with his V-skill for a more aggressive approach. I'm really interested in seeing that. Can he cancel special moves into his taunt, his V-skill taunt on block? That would also be interesting because it would make certain moves safe, perhaps. Or he can have a runaway style where he does a special move, canceling the taunt backwards, right, and play more defensively. I'm not sure. I would assume he would only gain V-gauge on the actual impact of the hit of the taunt, because he kind of sighs and, you know, hits with his hand. Now for VSkill 2, Capcom said they aren't ready to show it, which was unfortunate and disappointing. But the strange thing is, like, looking back at the footage on the phone footage, it seems to show the VSkill 2 as well, because we see this other taunt that he has where he just does another hit. It's a different animation entirely. And they did mention that his VSkill 2 does cancel out of normals. The first one cancels out of specials. So we actually see this in the phone footage. He's canceling his normals into it. It just looks like a hit. He might be at frame advantage. It doesn't look like he can combo after, like going normal into the VSkill 2 into another normal. I doubt he can do that, maybe in the corner. And yeah, but if you look at the footage again too, he's canceling airborne into this taunt, into this V-skill 2. So he'd see him do an uppercut, cancel the V-skill 2, and instead of him rolling after it, he's hitting him in the air and knocking him back down. Same with the Dan kicks as well. So V-skill 2 doesn't really look like a combo extender, but it looks more versatile because it seems you could do it in the air and you could do it from normals. We're gonna have to see. Maybe they're not ready, have it fully figured out how to use it, but taunt is the main thing about Dan. And yeah, he has additional taunts as well. We're talking about the regular taunts that you do. So he has multiple taunts. And they said that unlike his V-skills, they're pretty much useless, but they did say there's going to be some Easter egg taunts where if you do certain motions in the taunt, you can do some hidden ones. I'm assuming he'd be able to taunt in the air, just be extra annoying. But that's pretty funny. And it's cool that they added that for the character because Dan is all about taunts, and he's got taunts galore. So once again, speaking about taunts, they showed Dan's super, and his super is a super taunt. So it looks absolutely useless. It's the super taunt that we remember from Dan in his previous games. And they didn't even show us the entire animation. The last thing we saw was Dan rolling very rapidly. It looked like a summary of his V-skill taunts, and then he rolled really rapidly. And then they cut it off, and they said, like, they were joking around that the opponent might let him actually get away with doing the super taunt because something might silly happen at the very end, and something unique. Who knows what it does? It probably gives your opponent full max V-trigger meter if you let him get away with it. It's the ultimate teabag, pretty much. I don't know how you would get away with this taunt. The animation seems so long. Even if you cancel this, and you know your opponent's going to be stunned or dizzy, and you cancel that hit into super, I still think the opponent will be able to mash out of this in time to punish you. So this doesn't look viable at all. And if this is Dan's only super, then damn, that is a serious disadvantage, as this super looks like it does no damage at all. Maybe if you used it up close, maybe it go into a canned animation to do some extra damage. I would hope if this is his only super. The only other possibility is that Dan has two supers and one would be like a fireball super, for example. That would make him viable, because if he doesn't have a super, I don't even think he'll be viable. He'd be so weak. You would really need that damage finisher, unless his V-triggers are like super strong. And if Dan does have two supers, that might be actually a hint of what the new mechanic coming to Street Fighter 5 is. That new mechanic could be a second super for the entire cap. Personally, I hope that's not the case. I would want something else, but I don't know. So once again, they didn't even show what his V-triggers are, so we don't know what that's about, but we do know it buffs up some of his moves. I mean, you could probably say that about every character's V-trigger, except for Jerry. I mean, Jerry's V-trigger 2 does nothing. Yeah, I mean, I'm personally excited to play Dan. I mean, a new character would be nice, more content is nice. I doubt he'll be very strong, but I mean, it's Dan, so my expectations are low, but at least he looks very fun. He looks like he's deep, like they said, and he looks like a rewarding character to win with. If beating the opponent when you know you're at a disadvantage, when both you know you're at a disadvantage, is great. And I'll have an excuse to taunt the opponent without my chat calling me a bully, and that'll be awesome too, because it's part of his gameplay. If you guys are wondering when the hell Dan is coming out, it's still scheduled to be coming out on winter 2020, which could mean absolutely anything from Capcom's perspective. At least that means he's coming out sometime this year, but it's probably gonna be something like late November or in December at some point. And I wouldn't be surprised if it's even delayed until next year, seeing on what the other forecasts for everything that's going on. And we'll see those costumes come out sometime similar when Dan comes out as well. So that's pretty much it, guys. That's all the information we have on Dan so far. At least they are showing us something, and hopefully we can get to see an official trailer on him soon. And hopefully they can start talking about the other characters as well, because we have some really exciting characters coming for next year for Street Fighter V. Let me know in the comments below what you guys think about Dan so far, and if you guys will be using him, if this is enough to bring you back to Street Fighter V, or everyone's just still waiting for Rose. We'll have to see. Okay, guys, as usual, I'll keep everyone posted, and I'll continue my retro streaming until then. So take care, guys. Peace.